We are resuming with Part C of Project 1, creating the campground icons. Please make sure that you completely read through Understanding Alignment Options on page 45. It will explain a lot about the use of the alignment panel and how to take advantage of those options as well as the distribution options that are available to you. We are continuing on page 46 with importing your template images. We are going to place the file. So go to File and find Place, not Open. You're going to select the picnic icon. Make sure both link and template are selected. By selecting link, we are not placing this image in there and having it become part of the file. It is only a link. If you were to open this file up on another computer that did not have the same folder available to it, you would be receiving a notice that says that there is a file missing. Very often we work with low-res images and use those as a template to draw around. By placing the item as a template, it's going to be centered in the document window. Again, go to File, Place, and this time select the hiking image. Make sure again that link and template are both selected, which will again place that image in the center. Do this again for both your campfire JPEG and the tent JPEG. Tent, template, play. Click on an empty area. Make sure you have your selection tool and click on an empty area of the artboard to deselect the last placed template. And we will save our file, Control S. When you're working in Illustrator, you end up with a whole bunch of objects on your artboard, and a lot of times the completed file is going to have hundreds of objects, and they're going to be in a specific order with one on top of another one. When you get more and more complex files, it's going to be very difficult to try and find all these files and work with them. So we're going to open up our Layers panel and do a little bit of organization here. You can see all 4 of the items that we brought in labeled as templates, and those items are locked. This is our stacking order right now. We have all of those images below our layer, which if you expand this, you can see our rectangles that we created are all on that layer. We're going to click on layer 1 and drag it down below the template layer, and then release when you see that heavy black bar. Instead of moving all those layers above layer 1, we simply moved layer 1 below all of those templates. Using the selection tool, we're going to click the top left rectangle to select it. In our Layers panel, you're going to unlock the layer for picnic. We can just see template picnic, and it was the first one that we used, so we're going to unlock it, and then we're going to select that layer, shift, and click somewhere within the area where that image is placed. We can't pick up the other images because they are locked. So since we have both of those items selected, and you can see that they're selected by looking at the colored dots, which indicates selected art. Now we're going to use our alignment tool, which should come up across your control bar. If you do not have it, go to Window and choose Align. We're going to align to a key object. So select the Align to key object, and now click again on that rounded rectangle, which is going to change the heavy border to that rectangle, which indicates that is the key object. And next, simply click Horizontal and Vertical Align, Center. Now that we have the items perfectly aligned, we're going to relock the template. Next, we're going to double click on that thumbnail of the picnic table. This is going to open up the layer options box, and the default was going to come up with a 50%. Change yours to 30% for visibility. That way you're going to be able to see the drawing that you're doing a little more clear. Okay, making sure that that layer is locked again. Unlock your hitchhiker. Select the hitchhiker and the next box in the row. Make sure again that your alignment is set to key object. Click to select the background rectangle and do your alignments. Again, open up, change the dim to 30% and lock again. And just keep repeating this for the other two images. Remember, if something doesn't work right the first time, you can always go up to Edit and you can undo. If you need to, you can undo many steps back. Control Z is the shortcut keys. There is an almost unlimited number of undos that are available in Illustrator. So you can always back up and redo something. Next, just to keep items from being inconvenient, we're going to rename the layer 1 background. That way we know what we've got. And now we're going to create a new layer. This is this little icon at the bottom of your panel that looks like a page with a corner turned up on it. Because our background layer was the last item that we had selected, the new layer is going to come right above that. And we can move it around, which we will. We're going to take that and click on it and drag that to the top. You see the little hand with looks like a bar, and plop that up at the top. And we're going to rename that layer by double clicking on it, icon art. And that is the layer that we're going to be drawing on. Now make sure at this point that you Control S to save your file, and we're going to keep going. First of all, let's zoom in to that first icon so that we can really see what we're working on. All you need to do is grab your magnifying glass, drag a marquee around it, and you're going to be able to zoom in. You can see that this is indeed a low-res image. Now remember, we are working on that top layer, so we're not going to affect anything else underneath. We can actually even lock the background layers if you would like, so that you don't have to worry about doing anything to any other item on this artboard except the items that you are drawing. A number of different tools and utilities can be used to create complex Illustrator artwork. Creating the icons is going to give you an opportunity to experiment with many of these options. And as you complete the other projects throughout the book, you're going to get into more complex drawing techniques. Pick up, first of all, your rectangle tool. We've already used the rectangle tool, but we want the square corner rectangle because we're not going to be drawing anything with a curved edge. Nothing else should be selected on your artboard, so you're going to change your fill to black. You can do this right here in the tool panel. Just swap the color, the black that was our stroke, to the being the fill. And we're also going to give no stroke on this. And you can do this as well in the tool panel by applying none to the stroke. Next, click and drag to create the rectangle that represents the top of the table. Click and drag again to create the cross piece that the seats rest on. With your selection tool, select the top rectangle. Now go up to Window and open up your Transform panel. We're using the Transform panel rather than the pop-up one off of the Control panel because that one's going to keep closing every time you use another tool. So we want to be able to watch and look and see what we're doing. Now we're going to take a look at that first rectangle and take a look at what your height is. My height is going to be different from yours. First of all, make sure that your link is broken here for constraints width and height. We don't want it joined like this. We want to not constrain it. Take a note of what the height is on your rectangle. I'm going to select my lower rectangle and I want to compare the heights. Write them down if you need to so that you can go back and forth and make the height the same for both of those. Now back to your rectangle tool, we're going to make the seats. So first draw the seat on the left. Again, choose your selection tool. This time you're going to press your Alt or Option key and click the new shape and then drag it to create a duplicate. Try to use your smart guides so that you can line everything up. There we go. And release. Select the bottom horizontal and in the Transform panel choose the top right reference point, 7806, and make sure that those match. If they don't, I can change that simply by entering the same number in to make them pop to the same location. This is also a good place to save again. Control S. Now Illustrator also includes 4 transformation options: rotate, reflect, scale, and shear. We are still using the rectangle tool. So grab that again. We're going to draw a vertical rectangle. It's going to end at the bottom of the picnic table. Click and drag down. Now go back and check, using your selection tool, go back and check what the height was for the objects that you drew and make that the width of the object you just drew. And make sure your constraint is turned off. 1295 width, nope, it didn't change. There we go. Doesn't matter what my height is at this time, just so that it reaches from here to here. Now we're going to go under the scale tool and find the shear tool. Rotate. That's rotate and reflect. This is the scale tool. Click and hold, and here is our shear tool. Click the top edge of the rectangle and drag it to the right until you get something that resembles, and you can stretch up, but drag to the right until you get something that resembles the leg of the picnic table. Let's move that over and line that up with where the leg is supposed to be. We're going to select next, with this item still selected, the reflect tool, which is underneath the rotate tool. Double click it to open up the dialog box. We're going to reflect on the vertical axis and we're going to create a copy. If we just clicked OK, we would actually just rotate or flip that item that we drew, but we needed a second one. Back again with our selection tool, click and drag that shape to the right. Hold your Shift key and make use of your smart guides as you're dragging to keep your leg moving level, and when you get it in the proper location, release it. Save your file, click off, and you're ready to move on to the next section.